Mitchell, thank you very much. There'll be rounds of questions from the members, 5 minutes each. I'll start and then turn the gavel over to Senator Welch. Dr. Feldman, since you're the only medical doctor on the panel, I'm going to ask you an obvious question. The legal system in America basically says that in order to have a prescription drug, you need a doctor to write a prescription. So a doctor's judgment is involved in that administration of that very basic principle. So my question to you is this. We know the pharmaceutical industry spends $6 billion a year, the size of the entire FDA budget, to fill the airwaves with brand name drug ads. That way patients can not only pronounce Xarelto, maybe even spell it, but they can also tell their doctors that's the blood thinner they want. So the pharmaceutical industry must believe that that's good enough to inform the consumer of the benefits of this drug and some of the dangers of the drug at one time, but to basically get them to the point where they go to the doctor and say, I want Xarelto. Then the doctor in our system has to make a professional judgment. Is that the right drug for this patient? Is there a better drug? Clearly, pharma believes that the consumer suggestion is going to be pretty powerful in this equation. So I don't want to say this in a negative fashion, but I'm going to. Are doctors complicit with pharma in prescribing overpriced drugs because they don't have enough time or inclination to debate the issue?
Thank you. I think doctors, clearly, as you said, pharmaceutical companies are spending this money on advertising because they think it works and because to some extent it does work. I do think that I know some doctors receive money from pharmaceutical companies for prescribing certain types of medications. And so I do worry that some physicians are complicit in this to an extent.
Well, they're gatekeepers in this process, and if they aren't there, I don't know who would police the ranks in terms of that. Ms. Ulrich, when you hear over and over and over and over again the fact that a basic drug being sold to Americans is at a price that is dramatically higher than you're selling the same drug in your industry in other countries, do you just shrug it off and say, that's just the luck of the draw? Or is it the fact that Americans are being asked to pay for the innovation and the cost and the profits, whereas other countries basically put their foot down and say, this is greed and we're going to stop you?
Well, thank you, Senator Durbin, for that question. I first would point out that when we're looking at comparisons of U.S. spending, medicines are about the same share of overall healthcare spending as European countries. So it is, when you're looking at the actual relative contribution of spending on medicines, it's similar. In addition, I would point out that comparisons are often looking at list prices. And as I spoke about in my testimony, we know that there are significant amounts of rebates being paid to PBMs and others in the supply chain that are not accounted for when we're doing those cross-country comparisons.
Well, let me say this about your suggestion. If I put one hand over a flame on the stove and the other hand in the freezer, on the average, I should be just fine. But life doesn't work that way. And say, on the average, other countries are just about as expensive as the United States. The list prices are dramatically different, 100% different. Why would you do that to the American consumers when you're American companies?
Well, I would also point out that Americans get access to those medicines much faster than those countries as well. 85% of globally approved new medicines are available to patients in the US versus about 40% in the EU countries. And cancer medications, European patients are getting access 2 years later on average. So patients are benefiting from that innovation as well.
Mr. Mitchell, what do you think?
Well, I think that drug companies file first here because we are the largest market in the world with the highest prices in the world. And they come here because the FDA is pretty easy to work with, and it's a high-quality drug approval agency. And so they come here, they apply first to get access to the market, but also they can take a lot of their filing work and take it abroad. It's interesting to note, because the IRA was raised earlier, that even after the IRA is fully implemented, we will still be the largest market in the world with the highest prices in the world, and they are still going to file first here. And it's because it's in their business interest to do so.
Senator Graham?